This has to be the most confusing adaptation of a Matthew McConaughey movie to a video game. Why, there isn't even one completely chemistry-less affair in this game. Instead, this seems to be a port of Atari's arcade game. I've got to admit, the arcade game was never one of my favorites, and to me it was mainly notable for the unique cabinet design which had bike handlebars on it. This is the first Famicom game published by Ultron, a tiny publisher that seems to have specialized in getting NES games on the Famicom. Although technically there's an ending, Paperboy is really a score attack game. You step into the shoes of a paperboy who has a route on a street consisting of 20 houses. At the start of the game, half of the houses are subscribers. And so you pedal down the street and can throw a paper at a house by hitting A or B. The bike can never stop. You can slow it down by pressing back or accelerate by pressing up, but you're always going forward. The houses that begin with a subscription are randomized, so the exact layout of the street is different every time you play. Fortunately for you, everything is color-coded. Subscriber houses are always in light pastel colors, yellow, blue, and white. People who don't subscribe to your paper are in red. Every subscriber has to get a newspaper, and you start your route with just 10 papers, which of course matches the exact number of subscribers. You can land a paper on someone's porch to deliver it to them, but the big points come from shooting it right into their mailbox. The newspapers you throw are used for much more than delivery, though. You can also terrorize the neighborhood with them. A lot of the moving obstacles in the game are stopped when they're hit with a paper, and you can vandalize homes by smashing windows or knocking over trash cans. Of course, you only want to do this to houses that don't subscribe to the paper. Sometimes you'll spot bundles of papers that you can collect, and that'll refill you back to 10. On your bike, you can freely ride across people's lawns, but coming into contact with just about anything will knock you over. You're going to encounter a lot of obstacles, and the bike is not maneuverable at all. It's stiff, slow to turn, and due to the randomness of terrain and how obstacles appear, you are going to find yourself in situations where you can't avoid getting hit. If you manage to make it to the end of the street, then there's an obstacle course for you to race through. Here you refresh your papers every time you hit a target. So the best thing to do is just go nuts with them. You won't lose a life if you crash on the course, but if you make it to the end, then you get bonus points. After the bonus course, you either lose all the subscribers whose houses you missed on your route that day, or if you delivered perfectly, then you get additional subscribers. If you can go 7 days without running out of subscribers, or out of lives, then you win. I've always found the perspective in Paperboy to be the greatest challenge in the game. I always think I'm further to the left than the game seems to think I am. And the perspective is also a challenge when you're throwing papers. The paper continues to travel forward with the same momentum that you had when you threw it, so it takes a bit of a deft touch to get the timing down for these throws. On top of that, you can hit a front door of a place and it doesn't count because the perspective is bad. Apparently you have to hit a little bit past the front door if you want a successful delivery. The Famicom version of Paperboy defaults to English language text, but it is translated to Japanese. You can hit select at any time to alternate languages. The response to Paperboy in Japan was not good. People at the time hated it, but the cover of the Famicom box touted how wildly popular Paperboy was overseas. And so in some circles, Paperboy became an example of the poor quality games that Americans like. And I'm here to say that not all Americans like this game. In fact, even though this game seemed to be everywhere, I never really knew anybody who liked it. It's stiff, the sprite collision is terrible, and you don't even really get to do that much mayhem. Having randomized stages is neat in theory, but when you're pinched in between 3 simultaneous obstacles, or you don't get any papers for 5 houses, that randomization can become really annoying. And if I can be frank, I don't think the original arcade game is that good either. So this is a bad port of a game that wasn't good to begin with, and I think I'd rather play just about anything else.